Morning, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Wendy's Kitchen Corner. I am so excited to talk about what I'm going to talk about today, and I think I have found the secret to happiness. Do you want to hear what it is? So, just to back up, a few months ago when I had that really severe panic attack and my body just basically shut down for a couple weeks, once I started to feel a little bit of strength, I was like, I have got to figure this out because I don't ever want to experience that feeling again. It was so scary. And I set my intention, without really realizing it, I set my intention to find out what the secret to happiness is. And the amazing thing is that these rich resources have come to me, mostly via YouTube, as I set my intention and began that search, which interestingly is part of the secret to happiness. But I'll get into that in a minute. So, of course, I've talked about in previous videos the importance of proper nutrition, making sure you're getting seafood, greens, nuts, beans, dark chocolate every day, and exercising at least 3 to 4 times a week. My shadow. Or is that just my face? At least exercising 3-4 times a week, getting your heart pumping, because that creates that BDNF in our brain, the brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which actually stimulates the production of new brain cells. So diet and exercise are huge, but that's not it. We can't stop there. So something that I've learned about in the past couple weeks, well, that I've heard about for a long time, is gratitude. Everyone talks about gratitude. You need to be gratitude to have a good life, to have a better life, be grateful. And it's like you just sort of hear that and you're like, okay, yeah, yada, yada, yada. But there's actually science behind why gratitude gives you a happier life. And it turns out that when you think grateful thoughts, it stimulates the production of serotonin and dopamine in your brain, which stimulates new neuronal connections, which creates new synapses, neuron synapse. And then the more gratitude you have, the more grateful thoughts you have, it stimulates a rewiring that goes from that grateful neuron to this grateful neuron across the synapse. And the more grateful thoughts you have, that hardwiring gets stronger and stronger. So then you become predisposed to be grateful rather than to be negative. And then that stimulation of the new neurons and new synapses then goes to the prefrontal cortex, which recognizes positive thoughts more than negative. So gratitude is so big. And it starts off that you have to sometimes force yourself, because when you're not feeling good, when you're going through something, worries of life, stress, whatever, gratitude is kind of the last thing you want to do. But trust me, there is science behind what gratitude does, and it's so worth it. So I encourage everyone to start every day, whether it's writing down in your gratitude journal. Today I'm a mermaid, tomorrow I'll be a unicorn. This is my gratitude journal. Whether it's writing in that or just mentally thinking about what you're grateful for, you will begin to rewire, you will begin to form new neuron connections, which will rewire your brain to be more positive. So good. So then the other thing that I've learned about recently, which has blown my mind, is Dr. Joe Dispenza, I think you say his name. And he talks about how we need to think about the life we want. So you have to have gratitude about the life we have, but then we need to think about the life we want. And it's a similar principle, but he talks about how when we're not thinking about the future or our best life or imagining the life we dream of, our brain stays in this state of negativity. We naturally will think about the past. We'll think about even negative experiences from the past, because that also gives a dopamine hit. That's our natural cycle if we don't stop it. Think about something from the past, dopamine hit. think about something from the past, dopamine hit, and that's hardwiring. We have those hardwired experiences from the past. So he says to break those, you have to think about the future, because your brain does not know the difference between reality and just like a guided imagery. He was talking about a study where they looked at someone's brain and they had them practice playing the piano for 2 weeks, and then they looked at them again 2 weeks later and they could see the changes from practicing. And then they had someone who just thought about practicing, went through everything but didn't actually practice, and they had the same brain changes. So we can trick our brain into happiness. Our brain does not know the difference between actually doing something and just thinking about doing something. And the same kind of thing starts to happen when we do that as when we have gratitude. He says that we start making these new connections to the image of what our future is, and the neurons start happening, then they start firing, then it starts hardwiring, and then the quantum physics part, I know, it's just so much science. The quantum physics part starts there with the law of attraction, is that when you're thinking about something, you will naturally notice things that have to do with it. I forget what that, there's a name for that, but I can't remember offhand what it is. You start noticing things that have to do with what you're thinking about. Have you ever had that happen when you're thinking about a friend or something, and then you see things that remind you of them everywhere? It's the same kind of thing. When you're thinking about the vision of your life that you want it to be, you will start to notice the things that align with that. Your brain will start to make those neuron connections over the synapse, and then it will become hardwired, and you will, that's really what the law of attraction is it's thinking about the future, and then your brain catches up with your thought. That's kind of it. Your brain will catch up with whatever thought you have. So we want to have grateful thoughts. We want to spend time every day thinking about the life we want and imagining ourselves in that life. And then our brain will catch up with those thoughts. Isn't that amazing? So the reason this is so mind-blowing for me is because my brain can be very naturally go to the negative, and it's really a pain because there is so much positive around, and sometimes I think, well, is that just me? Is that just who I am? And it's like, no, that's not who you are. That's because your brain naturally goes to the negative in that the pathway that it's used to. It's like, you drive on the road that is most open and paved, that's easiest. That's the same with our thoughts. Our thoughts will go on the road that is the most open, paved, and easiest. So we have to make our positive, grateful thoughts the most paved ones. So that's where our thoughts go. So as someone who struggles with, I wouldn't say I'm not a negative person, I'm a positive person, but my brain can do that. So this has been so encouraging for me to know that I have control of my happiness and my destiny just by simple things of being grateful and imagining myself in the life that I want. And that involves a beach in Costa Rica with someone that looks like Jason Momoa. I'm just throwing it out there, manifesting. Any Jason Momoa lookalikes, come my way. Anyways, I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to leave them. Okay, have a great day. Think about what you're grateful for and think about the life you want to live. Bye.